no cold open this time. We're getting straight into it. 1977's horror cult classic Suspiria. It's directed by Dario Argento, and it's written by Dario Argento and Daria Nicolodi, if you could say this movie actually has writers, with music by Goblin. The gist is very hard to give you because this story, let's face it, it's a mess. But here it is. Susie, this American ballet dancer, flies over to Germany to join this exclusive like dance academy. And weird shit happens. There you go. That's the story. That's the gist. Now, I should be raging about this movie. It's 2.5 hours. Fucking hell, it's a long movie. 2.5 hours, and the story is a fucking mess. Like, I should be raging about this, right? Should be like, well, except, oh my god, look at all the pretty fucking colours, and listen to that music. I couldn't take my eyes off this film in all the best ways possible. In fact, every scene looks beautiful, and you just want to sit there and kind of devour everything. You want to look at the scenery. I never did, but I kept wanting to pause the movie just to kind of stare at it. It's really beautiful. Like, there's this scene at this kind of apartment building at the start, and the way the staircases are kind of aligned, it looks like some kind of weird painting. The way everything, you don't equate horror movies that often with color, and this movie's very bright, and in that way it kind of stands out. You always want to kind of stop and take it in. It's beautiful. That coupled with Goblin's fantastic music, and I was willing to forgive how the story progresses because I just was just along for the ride. I just wanted to look at everything. I wanted to see where they were going with it. So yeah, I found myself forgiving the extra long runtime and the story. So this movie's a bit more style and a bit more about style and creative filmmaking, I guess, than it is about the story. And there's only one scene I really hate in this movie. There's only one scene I hate in Suspiria. So you're about 2/3 into the movie, and you still got this kind of vibe of, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what is going on? What's this all about? You never quite know for like 2/3 into the movie. And then you have a scene where Susie goes to this university and talks to a couple guys who pretty much exposition dump the entire plot and mystery of the film. And I hated it. Yeah. That's the only scene you really get where they explain anything that's going on. And it feels so out of place. I think the movie would have been better without that scene in it, because then you'll always be left with the fuck was that all about? And then you can kind of talk about it with other people going, oh, well, it's about this, oh, they were doing this to do this. Instead, all that kind of mystery that you could have had about what's going on is pretty much ruined in that one 5-minute exposition dump scene. So you got 2/3 of the movie, exposition dump, now we can conclude the movie because you know what's going on. No. It's weird. Like, I want a movie with a nice coherent story. This one gives me something different, and I like the different. But when they bring it back to kind of a more traditional movie going, hey, here's what's going on, just in case you're lost. With the actual horror scenes, I find with old horror movies, especially ones that involve gore and gory scenes, which this film absolutely does have, Old films can kind of date. Not all of them, but some of them can, especially if they've got a lower budget. However, I found every horror scene in this film to be quite confronting and disturbing. Now, sometimes there's extreme close-ups, sometimes there's something you didn't expect to see, and boom, there it is. It leaves very little to the imagination, and the music, the terror, the scenes, they're all fucking spooky as shit. One of my favorite scenes will forever make me question guide dogs for life. I won't go into it any more than that, but I'll always look at guide dogs and go, you stay the fuck away from me. Stay away. So, I watched this with my wife and sister. Now, we're in lockdown. How'd you do that? You're not allowed to have people over. Well, we watched it online, so my sister and I, we queued it up, pressed play at the same time, and comment while we watch. Now, I was loving it. Alright, maybe not loving it. I was really liking it. But the two ladies I was watching it with didn't like it anywhere near as much as I did. They didn't fall for the flash of the flashiness of the colors, or how beautiful the movie looks. They didn't fall for the intense music and stuff. Like, there's some scenes where I think we all agree, like, wow, that's horrifying and awesome. But whereas I was happy to kind of sit there and try and piece everything together in my brain as to what was going on, they wanted a good story, and they felt they didn't get that good story. And I totally understand that. The story is not the best part of this movie. And my wife was telling me, for her, when she's watching a movie, she wants a fucking good story. I just think, though, for me, they do everything else right. So yes, the story is a mess, but you've got interesting camera angles, interesting ways of depicting horror, beautiful sets and scenery, absolutely gorgeously amazing music by Goblin. So, yeah. Also want you to be aware of, this is a dubbed movie. Now, it's dubbed in the same way that a spaghetti western is kind of dubbed. Like, this is an Italian movie, so are most spaghetti westerns, so it's an Italian movie. And it's done in the same style as, say, a spaghetti western, as I said. Like, just think of a Sergio Leone film. There's a sense that some of this is dubbed, but other characters are talking English, or speaking English, talking English. Like Clint Eastwood, he's saying all his lines in English, but other characters might say the lines in Italian, all that kind of stuff. And then later on, they do all the dubbing to make it all like the one language. They do that here for Suspiria, and, that is what it is. If that kind of thing bothers you, alright, doesn't bother me one iota. In fact, it added to the charm of the flick for me for that. So, yeah, my wife and sister thought it was kind of average. Me, however, I feel like this movie does more right than it does wrong, and because of that, I'm going to give it a 7. It's a movie you should experience, but have someone with you. You guys might like the same things in the movie, but you might not. And I think it's something you should experience with someone, just so you can have a bit of a talk, a bit of a chinwag, and all that kind of stuff. So give me a like, dislike, share, and subscribe, all that junk. And I'll see you for something a lot less horrific on the next late review. Thank you. Let's do the sticky thing. Right under the omen, why not?